This video demonstrates the 3D markup and dimension capabilities of Visicon. We'll start by opening a model. And one quick tip here is if I, for example, have a model that's in the distance and I want to quickly zoom in, I can select a component, hit the middle mouse button, and it centers the object. So now I can zoom in. We had already in a previous video talked about how to use views and the application of these 2D overlays. And if you recall, the 2D overlays are essentially layered on top of any particular view. Now we're going to talk about 3D markups and dimensions. So those are true 3D objects that become part of the model, so they can be rotated and are much more persistent from different angles than just the overlays. So let's go explore. We'll start with the linear. So here I've selected the linear, and for example, I can select any surface. So here we'll go ahead from there, and as you can see, I can track the various surfaces of the model. And so here I want to, let's say, do a dimension to the tip of this, the end of this beam. So I select that location, and so here, it now just simply displays the dimension. If I select the dimension line, you see that it gives me my various axes dimensions as well. Similar to every other object in Visicon, it has its own properties. So I can come in and, for example, say that I want to show the axes, for example, always. So if I unselect, now those remain. So this is a nice way for me to kind of retain those if they're important to me. Likewise, I can come in to this object. I can also change things like the color, text size. I can also give specific comments. So for example, I can say this dimension is wrong, for example. And I can come here and it says show comments. I can choose to say, yes, I want to actually display the comments. So this is a very nice feature because this way I can go ahead and actually add my specific comments to a dimension where I might want to, pass on information on it to somebody else who's going to viewing the model. So this is what we have for, let's say, linear. Then we can look at, and let's rotate the model a little bit to the side. We go to clearance. So clearance is a nice feature where essentially I can kind of move around in the model. And so here I can see I have about 14.37 feet clearance. Under this beam right here, it's 9.93 feet and so forth. So it just picks up anywhere that it can find two normal surfaces and gives me the dimension. So for example, the dimension of that doorway is 9.93 feet as well. So that's the dimension. I can do a one-to-many. So here I can select essentially multiple points, and it allows me to quickly determine dimensions from one specific location. I can do, areas of any surface. I can also go into a cumulative mode. So the default is that each dimension just shows itself. I can go into cumulative, so this way I go back to linear. And so let's say I want to know the total distance, let's say from this edge to here, and then from here, let's go back into, so I'm in my cumulative mode, and then from here to there, so you see now it's added up that the total distance is 27 feet. I'll turn that off. So these are all the basics of 3D dimensioning. You can also add 3D lines. So this is a nice kind of opportunity to add any line in space, and the line itself again can have comments. I can give it a thickness. I can change the arrow types. I have lots of flexibility to manipulate the presentation of this 3D line, which becomes a permanent annotation in my model. We also have some nice features here with spot tag. So this takes any surface, so I select the slab. It draws the normal, then I can come out, and so this is now a spot tag, which allows me to essentially, let's go ahead and open the property box. I can give my comments, and I can say this is level 20, for example. and this becomes then a nice tag that is always visible outside of the model. Right, so this is something that you can kind of zoom out and essentially let somebody quickly identify a point in your model. So that's the spot tag. You can also do spot elevations. So I can select any number of points and quickly give the dimensions. So I'm just essentially providing different spot elevations. You also have a spot coordinate. So the spot coordinate acts in the same way. Oops, so that one, I think I just clicked on the wrong spot. So we're going to come in and grab that, delete that, and do a spot coordinate. So that gives us our spot coordinate. Lastly, we have the spot slope. So this essentially allows me, for example, to select different locations. So this one is straight down. This is a sloped slab, and I can, or sloped column, excuse me, and I can come in and see exactly what the slope is at any location. So this is a quick summary of all of the different 3D markup capabilities you have. Again, each one of these is fully modifiable as its own object and gives you full flexibility to add additional 3D markups and dimensions to a model in addition to the 2D markups. One last feature to show here is if I, for example, come in here and want to also just do again, add a clip plane, I can also lock any of these 3D dimensions to any of the axes, or for example, the clip plane. So here I'm looking at this is my clip plane, and let's say, for example, I want to now come in and just do a dimension from this location to that location, and essentially it gives me the information at that point. Great, thank you.